Thank you all for joining us today. This webinar will be recorded. This is the 2021 SPS Intern Symposium. Hi, I'm Brad Conrad. I'm the director of SPS, and I'm really happy to have you all join us today. We're going to hear some awesome talks from some amazing SPS summer interns this summer. But before we get started, I'd like to introduce the CEO of the American Institute of Physics, AIP, Michael Maloney. Michael?
Thanks, Brad. Thanks, Kayla. Hi, team of interns. Great to see you this morning, and good morning to everybody else, or good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be in the world. That's the Zoom world we live in today. So yeah, I'm not going to keep you all waiting for the main show this evening or this morning, speaking with or hearing from the interns. But I did just want to say how much we really appreciate the opportunity to interact with such a tremendous, inspiring set of folks who are the future of physics, astronomy, and the physical sciences, and our community going forward into the future. So it's really a fantastic opportunity for us every 10 weeks at AIP to get a glimpse into the future and the tremendous opportunity that our field has, our fields of endeavor have for the future. So this program is supported by AIP, and SPS is an integral part of the AIP family, along with AIP Foundation, AIP Publishing, and our 10 member societies and 27 affiliated societies. And the intern program is really a partnership between those partners and donors, and as I mentioned, are the societies in particular that are focused on this internship. And this year, that's the American Physical Society, the American Association of Physics Teachers, and the Society of Rheology. Also really want to thank Sigma Pi Sigma members, NIST, NASA, the US House Commerce Committee on Science, Space, and Technology for their partnership in the internship program, and also extremely grateful for the support of donors, and in particular, the John and Jane Mather Foundation for Science and the Arts for their ongoing personal and philanthropic support of this program and our mission at SPS to support the future of our science through our interactions with the undergraduate community. So I know from a quick chat before this call today, and then also from my discussions with previous classes of interns, that one of the real key important parts of the internship program is to give insight into the full suite of career opportunities that lie for in the future for people who study physics, astronomy, and related sciences. And so again, thanks to everybody who's helped make that an experience, which I know this class of interns will carry forward with them into their careers. And special thanks to Brad and Kayla and the rest of the SPS national team, and also our volunteers at SPS and Sigma Pi Sigma, our volunteer leadership, who really are such tremendous support to us in our endeavors. So thanks again, Brad, for the opportunity to say hi. I look forward to watching as many of the talks as I can today, and good luck with the rest of the program.
Thank you, Michael. And I just wanted to add a couple of my own comments. So I wanted to thank all of the interns for joining us this summer. The summer is not complete without you and all of the hard work that you do and all of the energy that you bring and the programs that you help start and finish and add that special touch and flair that only interns can really do. Because when you're doing something for a long time, you sort of get used to doing it a certain way, and you always come in with bright new ideas and interesting ways of making things happen. And most importantly, we're aiming to serve you, because you are the Society of Physics students. You are the next generation of people to come into the field. So we're really happy to have you join us. And I did also want to tell you this is a very prestigious program. It goes back to 1999. It actually started off as a single intern. If you can imagine being the only intern, that might be a little challenging. They were focused on 2-year school preparation and education and outreach, and the program has gotten a little bit bigger since then, but it is a very prestigious program. And so We're able to do not just education, but we're able to do science policy and research and outreach and work at national labs and do experimental physics and theoretical and all of these different things. And the magic, the reason why I'm really proud of this program, is that each of you had a different kind of internship, but yet you all were interacting with each other through the virtual events we had over the summer and talking with each other and the social nights and all of those things. So even if you might have been at NASA, you still know what it's like a little bit to be at Capitol Hill. Or if you're working for the American Association of Physics Teachers, you know what it's like to do outreach or what it's like to do theoretical astrophysics research at NASA. So all of you get to share a little bit, and that's part of the magic. And so everybody knows every intern is encouraged to share their research or their summer experiences online on the website, so you can check out the blogs. They're really great. I did promise I wouldn't read my intern's blog until the very end, so no, I'm going to read yours as soon as this is done. But it does give you a window into what it's like to be an intern in 2021 and what they learned and what they experienced. So I'm going to turn it over to Kayla.
Thank you, Guido. That was absolutely wonderful. We have our last, but not least, presenter, our AIP Mather Policy, who's actually on Capitol Hill right now, Guido Dominguez. You have the floor.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. So, as said before, I'm Guido Dominguez. I'm the Mather Public Policy Intern. I've had the pleasure of being the Mather Public Policy Intern for the last 10 weeks for the House Committee on Science, Space, and Technology. And today I'll be talking about the marriage of science and politics. But because I'm talking about politics, you can't start talking until you actually talk about where your jurisdiction is, right? And so the committee has 5 subcommittees. It's energy, environment, investigations and oversight, research and technology, and space and aeronautics. And its jurisdiction is any non-defense federal spending for research and technology. So that involves things that it has under its sole jurisdiction, like NASA and NIST, but it also involves other and the National Science Foundation, but also involves other agencies and departments, research and technology and development funding, such as under the Department of Energy or NOAA. So the reason I wanted to do this internship is to not heed the advice of Otto von Bismarck and actually go against his word and learn how the sausage gets made. And when most people think about how the committee really operates, they think about hearings and markups where you have experts and scientists and people who are amazing in their fields talk to Congress about what needs to get done or what we can improve on. And if that's all you think about when you think about the committee, that means that the staff and the interns of the committee are doing their jobs right, because you don't see all the hours and days and weeks of work that go into making sure a committee hearing runs smoothly. And in terms of these hearings, you kind of have 2 types. You have a committee hearing itself, and then you could have a committee markup. And the difference really is that when it comes to a hearing, as Julia was talking about earlier, you kind of have like fact-finding and investigative hearings where you're trying to lay out what either happened in the situation or what kind of details are in certain situations, or you also have other ones where you're trying to get recommendations for what possible legislation could look like. And then when it comes to markups, that's actually when you have legislation in front of you and you're going through the amendment process, and the committee is trying to either approve or deny a specific bill so that it can go onto the House floor and eventually become a law. But when you think about that, you don't really know what an intern does in this entire space, especially because you only really think about what happens in the outer facing aspect. So this is really how I felt when I was starting the summer. And I'm glad now after 10 weeks, I can finally tell you what I did. So my involvement as intern is really supporting the committee in its hearings and its markups, but also attending hearings and markups for other committees, not only the House side, but also on the Senate side, that are relevant to the committee's jurisdiction. Here's a few examples of committee hearings that we held in the House Science Committee. The first was under the Environmental Subcommittee, and it really went over extreme heat in the United States and was really pertinent over the last few weeks, especially what we saw kind of in the Pacific Northwest, but other areas of the United States, where we see that there's extreme heat causing a lot of negative health outcomes for the individuals living in these areas. I had the opportunity with my fellow interns on the committee to actually write the charter for the committee, which goes over the background, the purpose, but also creates recommendations for our members, not only for what we can possibly do to address the issue, but also questions that the members actually asked during the committee hearing. And that was an amazing experience. The bottom one is a full committee markup of a bunch of letters and numbers that make no sense, but it's actually the same Schrodinger's cat dead or alive question, because 4609 is the NIST for the Future Act, which is a part of the USCIA Act that was kind of broken down only for NIST, and increases NIST allocation of funding by 50% between 2022 and 2026. And on the last one was an investigative hearing into how what the FCC did in terms of bidding its 24 gigahertz spectrum for 5G, which we all have in our phones, actually has negatively impacted the ability of satellites to create predictions for weather, and what we can do in the future to prevent those negative impacts on NOAA and other satellites. I also had the opportunity to have independent research projects, and particularly was able to work under the subcommittee for energy on things that really interested me. As a physics student and as a member of my generation, we oftentimes think about how big of a problem we have with regards to climate change, and how it's almost an insurmountable task, and how that if we don't act now, we're going to miss our climate targets and have significant negative impacts for generations to come. And it was really amazing for me to be able to work on the Department of Energy budget request and look at the renewable energy offices, particularly the Building Technologies Office and the Wind Technologies Office, where there's a doubling in the funding for the Wind Technologies Office and an emphasis on electrification for the Building Technologies Office. I was also able to work on some stuff that's in the news right now, right? The Infrastructure and Investment and Jobs Act, and go through all 2,700 pages of it and see what parts were relevant to the subcommittee on energy and the subcommittee on environment, and write a summary about those relevant provisions. And it's been an amazing experience so far. And that's really why I feel like Kermit here on the right after going through my summer. I feel like as a physics student, again, as I said, you see kind of the gloomy prospects that we have in the future. And at least over the last 4 years, have seen what happens when we ignore science. But now, after working for the committee, I'm more hopeful now than ever that we can work together to address the issues, and not only address the issues of climate change and extreme heat, but invest in high risk, high reward research that'll get us into that next generation and that next frontier. So a couple of examples of why I'm really excited are the NSF, DOE, and NIST for the Futures Act. The first two passed the House with overwhelming majorities, and we're going to go into reconciliation with the Endless Frontiers Act from the Senate. The NIST for the Futures Act had its markup last week and passed the committee again with flying colors. The NASA fiscal year 2022 budget has an increase in $2.4 billion and was the largest budget request that has ever been proposed. And we can see with the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act that is focused on grid reliability, renewable energy, carbon capture, and other aspects, that there's a big commitment from Congress to put our best foot forward and actually admit that we not only admit that we have a climate crisis, but do something about it. And so because of this amazing experience, I just want to thank everyone that made it possible. John Mather, who helped kind of start and helps fund this part of the internship program, Brad Conrad, Michaela Cleaver, and Kayla Stevens, and my SPS family and all the other SPS interns. This summer would not have been the same without you. And then Evan Brooks, who's the research assistant for the subcommittee on environment, and more importantly, has been a mentor to me. Thank you.
Awesome talk. And you did a whole bunch this summer. So first question is, to what extent did your work on climate change issues touch upon your experiences at Pomona?
There was actually an interesting overlap going in. So I study fluid dynamics at Pomona specifically in my research, and I do some research on sphagnum moss, which is kind of one of the most important plants you might have never heard of, but it accounts for 20% of the world's soil carbon. And so in terms of that aspect, it'll actually be an accelerator as we see a lot of these moss bogs defrosting and decomposing, adding carbon into the atmosphere. But in the inverse side, I got to see a lot on what we can do on the environment side to preserve these environments that have a lot of carbon capture potential in them or carbon stored, but also what we can do artificially, because there's a lot of aspects and sectors that can't electrify easily. So let's talk about industry, for example. That's an area where you do need to have these same forms of carbon capture, research and development, and make sure that you're actually removing carbon from the atmosphere to reach our climate goals.
Yeah, and that kind of touches on the idea of where science and policy come together, which is the title of your talk. So what do you think we miss out on as a country and as a group of people when they don't quite work together as well as we want them to?
Yeah, when science and policy don't really meet eye to eye, we miss out on two fronts, I think. We miss out on the great ideas that you get just from conversations between two kind of areas that aren't really seen as similar or on the same plane. But you also miss out on investing on the future, right? Like when we don't have investments in research and technology, when we don't have investments in just general science that we don't know where it's going to go, we are missing that next great discovery, the next leap and bound to be able to move forward, right? And if the human race is all about moving to that next thing, when those conversations aren't happening, we all miss out.
And briefly, last question. So for those of us that are non-policy wonks, what's the difference between authorization and appropriations legislation?
In terms of that, I'd have to go back and ask my mentor a little bit more specifics. But you actually have the authorizations of appropriations within an authorization text. So I think, and I might be wrong here, you get a little bit of the authorization gives you the general structure of the way the funds are supposed to be spent, but it has no teeth if there's no appropriation language within it. So you can authorize, for example, NIST to have specific programs and have specific aspects of those programs that they need to satisfy. But if they don't have the appropriations, they don't have the money to do it.
Great answer. And I wanted to thank you for an awesome presentation and all of the hard work you're doing on the Hill to make sure that science and policy really get to work together.
Thank you very much.
And so I wanted to, maybe I could ask all the interns to turn their cameras on real quickly. It's with great pride and sadness and happiness all at the same time that I officially close the 2021 SPS Internship Program Symposium. That does not, however, stop the fun that you've had and the connections you've made with each other and with your mentors and those institutions. And you are always a part of the SPS and AIP family. And it's our hope that you will continue to join us year after year at future intern symposiums and continue to help make the world a better place through physics and astronomy and the physical sciences. So this is the saddest thing I do all year, so I'm going to miss you all very much. So congratulations on a great talk. Kayla?
Yes, congratulations. And I would like to thank each of the interns for all your hard work you put in this summer, as well as your mentors and the host sites. You are all what makes this program what it is today. And I hope that you are just as proud as we are. I hope this experience and the relationships you built with each other and your colleagues will continue to have a special place in your heart and your career into the far future. I would also like to thank everyone that attended the symposium and participated. Please note that the symposium has been recorded and will be posted on our YouTube channel. So follow us at SPS National and share with your family and friends, and we will see you next time.
So thank you, everybody. And to any mentors that are in the audience today or watching this, thank you for making this program special and possible.
Yes.
So I will see you all again next year.